Hello and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
So Chris, what should we cover today?
Well, Joanne, last week we looked at the key reports and estimating order entry as well as shipping. Maybe today we can look at purchasing and inventory.
Sure.
Which might include finished goods inventory as well. But
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just start by saying again that the reports we're going to show you today are done in Crystal reports. They can be modified if they don't work exactly as they come in our system for you. And they can be modified either by you if you own Crystal reports and have somebody on staff that has that expertise. They can also be modified by us if you want to contract us to do that for
Sure.
you.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's take a look at purchasing.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to open the purchasing module, and I'm going to go up to, let's first start by looking at an actual purchase order. So I'm going to highlight a purchase order that I have here in the system, and I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to click on the print button here, and I'm going to print the purchase order. Okay, so this is our purchase order report. This is used to, send to a vendor. You can email it to a vendor or just, mail it to a vendor to order your supplies from that vendor.
Right.
It can have your logo on it, and that can automatically print on the report. So
Okay.
let's take a look. If you had your logo in the database, it would print in this area here. And then this top section here will have your vendor information and the ship to information. You'll have your ship via information here and your PO agent. And then this section here will be all the different line items for the different items that you're ordering on this particular purchase order. You have a couple of description fields that you can print, a line item description here. And if you look at the bottom of the report, there's also a comments field that you can put in comments on the purchase order to print to send a notation to your vendor.
Mm-hmm.
If the purchase order or the line item on that purchase order is for a particular job, it'll put the job number here. And then you have your basic quantity and cost information here.
Okay.
And at the bottom you have your totals and a place for a signature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's your basic PO report. There's a couple of other reports in purchasing that are key reports that many of your customers will want to use.
Right.
One is a listing of just a listing of your POs, and you can do that by vendor or by job. And then you also might want to print out a list of your receipts. So let's take a
Okay.
look at the POs.
Sure.
So I'm going to get out of the actual PO, and I'm going to go up to reports. And you can see POs by vendor and POs by job. So let's take a look at POs by vendor. And you can do that by a date range. So I'm going to go back to July in this database just to get a good sampling of data in this particular database. And you can also select a particular supplier. You can look at open or closed POs. All right, so this report will just basically give you a listing of the POs based on the criteria you put in that interface. In this case, we're looking at it by supplier, so you have your supplier information at the top, and then you have your listing of each PO, its due dates and description information, and then the quantity ordered and received and price information here. And then it will total for each supplier for that date range. And if I go down to the end of the report, we'll have a grand total at the bottom for that date range.
Okay.
Okay. The next report we're going to look at is just a listing of receipts, where again you'll be able to put in a date range and just see what you've received in inventory for that date range.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
So I'm going to click on reports, click on receipts, again give it my date range, and we'll go back again to July 1st. And I can do it for a particular purchase order. I can do it for all receipts or just what's been invoiced or just what's not been invoiced. And then when I click print, I get this report that will show me the PO number, the receive information, the invoice date, the vendor information, and quantity information. And again, that would be by that date range. And the last report here is a material reorder report, which you can print that particular report both from purchasing and from inventory, because it's basically what you need to reorder to bring your inventory
Right.
levels up.
Okay.
All right, so let's go over to inventory and we'll take a look at the reports.
Look at it from
up
there. Okay. Sure.
All right, so I'm going to get out of purchasing and I'm going to go into the inventory module. And in here, all the reports are going to be printed from the reports menu. Some of the key reports in this particular module would be the on-hand value report, and that particular report will tell you what you have in inventory at any particular time. It'll give you some details as to what's in each location and the value of that inventory. So you
Right.
can know at any given time how much your inventory is worth for what you have in stock.
Okay.
So let's take a look at that. Here, again, I can do it for just a particular category or leave it blank for all. I can choose a valuation method. Now, unit cost will give me the report for whatever valuation method I have for that particular item. Or if I'm using LIFO, but I want to see what it would look like if I had average, you can choose average or any other of the valuation methods. Or if you do everything by standard cost, you could just pick standard cost. Down here, you can choose how you want to look at the report, kind of slightly different views. You can see it on a summary level, on a detail level, category level, or you can also use these as of options here, which will give you a snapshot of the report as of the particular date you enter in this field at the bottom here. So let's take a look at the summary report. So this particular report is going to give me by category a list of the materials and some information from the database about that material, the quantity I have on hand and its cost, and then it will sum it for the category at the bottom of each group or each category. At the end of the report, I can see a grand total and see what my inventory is actually valued at.
Okay.
And if I want to look at a little bit more detail, I can see the same report, but now I'm going to see it by location. Now I have several inventory locations because I'm using FIFO or LIFO on some of these items, but I haven't assigned a location code to them. So you may see something like this, will it say location not defined? But if you did, it would show the actual location code that you're using with its description here.
Right.
You'll have your quantity, your unit costs, and your extended costs here, and then the total. Total for the material code, and then a total for the category at the bottom.
Okay.
And then at the bottom of the report, again, you'll see your grand total.
Sure.
And again, you can do the same kind of reports using the as of dates. So you can see it as a snapshot of that particular date. If you wanted to see, what was my inventory valued at the end of January or at the end of February.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
So let's close here. The next report I want to show you is the reorder report. If you remember, this is a report we could also print from purchasing, and it will let you know what items in your inventory are below the reorder level that you set, and then it will tell you how much you need to order to get it up to the level you want to have in your inventory.
Okay. Sure.
So I'm going to print that. Again, I can do it for all categories or a particular category. It will show me by category the material code. It will show me some information about the particular material, what I have on hand, what my reorder level is, and this is a value you set in inventory item itself. If you don't set a reorder level, it will never show up in this report. So you would only set levels that you want on items that you want to show up in this report. Then it will show you what your desired level is. So this is what you want the inventory to be at once you've placed an order. And then this is going to tell you what you have to order to get it to your desired level. All right, so the next report that I want to show you is the stock take report. Now this particular report is used when you're doing a physical inventory.
Okay.
So if you're going to go out, to your shop and do a physical inventory, you can actually take this report, and there's actually a place in the report where you can put in the actual count and write it in.
Sure.
Okay.
Good.
So this report can be printed by category or by location, and you can print just for a particular category or for all categories. And this will give you the material code, again, some information about the material at the top here, and then by location, the quantity in each location, and here's an area where you can type in the actual quantity. It'll total it at the bottom for each material item. Okay. And let me go to the last page. And here's the last one. So there's no sum on this report. It's just simply each item and what's available, what you have on hand for each item.
Okay. Sure.
The next report I want to show you is our inventory audit trail. There are a few other reports that might be useful to you in terms of the transaction reports, allocations, deductions, adjustments, and transfers.
Right.
You can get a report and see by date range the particular transactions in that date range of that type. You can also look at your inventory audit trail report, which will show you what the beginning balance was, a total of the deductions, a total of the adjustments, a total of the receipts, and then what your ending balance is. So it's kind of a summary of all of those.
Okay,
So let's
sure.
take a look at that one.
All right.
So we'll click Inventory Audit Trail. Again, you can put in a material code here or leave it blank for all of the categories or codes. You can put in your date range, and again, I'm going to go back to July to get a good sample of data. All right, and in this report, you're going to see your material codes and their descriptions, and then here's where you'll see your opening balance, a sum of the receipts for that range, deductions, adjustments, and then your closing balance. So like I said, it's kind of a summary report of all those individual transactions.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
all right.
Looks
so
good. Now, these reports all in inventory, are they the same sort of reports in finished goods?
They are. They're exactly the same in finished goods. But in finished goods, we actually have a few other reports that are particular to finished good type items.
Okay.
So let's take a look at those.
All right.
So I'm going to go out of the inventory module and go into finished goods. And click on reports here. And you can see a lot of them are the same. Except in finished goods, you also have a back order report. This will show you any items that are currently in back order. And so at any point in time, you can print out this report and see what you have in back order, and then be able to, at that point, determine what you need to do to fill those particular items.
Yep.
So that's particular to finished goods. Inventory doesn't have a back order type list.
Okay. Makes sense.
So this report will show you the job number that the item was back ordered for, the code and description, and then it will show you information as to what's already on hand and what's already been shipped, what's been ordered, and what's back ordered here. Okay, so at any point in time, there's no date range. It just shows you what is currently in back order status. Another report we can take a look at is the Forms Management Report. This is a unique report. What this will do is show you kind of some information about a particular finished good item that you make. And the key to this report is this will only work or give you good information if you have template codes, and those template codes are tied to finished good items. And then you use those templates to make the finished good. So say you have a business card shell that you keep in finished goods. If you have a template code to create those items, and then you tie that template code to that finished good, then you can get some information about the past orders, the frequency, and the quantities that you've ordered from this one report. So if you are doing that, it's a great idea to create the templates and attach the finished goods, and then this report will be very useful. So let's take a look.
Okay.
And you can do it for an individual item or for multiple items. So let's look at an individual item. All right, so this report for an individual item will have the item information at the top here. It'll tell you how many locations it's in and give you some quantity information over here. And then you've got some information on the last 3 orders that were done to generate or to make this particular finished good item. So you have your job information and dates and quantity information and price information here. And then you also have usage information for this year and the past year of the usage of this particular item. And then at the bottom, you'll have information as to what you have on hand for this item.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks good.
And then the last finished good report we'd want to take a look at is the shipment report. All the others here are the same, but this one is unique to finished goods where you can see a shipment report. And again, you can do it by category or even for a particular customer. You can select a date range, and again, I'm going to go back a ways here. And you can also do it for particular jobs, completed, in process, all.
Okay.
So let's take a look at all jobs. And I'm going to hit print here. And this will show me basically shipments of those finished good items in that date range I selected. So it'll give me the item information here, its description here, the job numbers that it was shipped for, when it was shipped, and the quantities and price, with a grand total at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, so that's another report that's particular to finished goods.
Yep, very good, very good.
Okay, so those are pretty much the key reports in purchasing, inventory, and finished goods.
Finished goods, okay.
Okay, and again, these reports can be customized. They're crystal reports, like all our reports in enterprise. They can be customized by you, or you can contract EPMS to customize them.
Okay, very good. All makes sense.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that was very helpful.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us for another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
Please look forward to more to come.